It's FYF Sports, Madison Lamont. We back, another podcast episode, another topic to cover. And today we got to talk about it. As you guys know, last week the Buffalo Bills released their rookie punter, Matt Araiza. And this is in wake of allegations that stem from a lawsuit that was recently filed by a 17-year-old, or at least then 17-year-old accuser. And the allegations, again, are very damning. Again, these are just allegations, but the allegations are very damning and accusatory. And we are here today to talk about the facts of this case as we know them, what the potential outcome could be for the former Bills kicker, and how do we expect this case to play out based on the details that have been made available to us right now. So the only things we know right now, a lot of things are very limited. We'll go over some of the details that we have here. So basically, Matt Araiza's accuser says her piercings were ripped out during this gang misconduct, and we're gonna refrain from using the R word, obviously for algorithm purposes, but you guys know what the accusations are. And she also revealed pictures of bruises. And later on, we're going to get to a video. The accuser did speak with, I believe, ABC News. We're going to get to that video and listen to what she describes happened on that night. But based on the allegations, the 18-year-old woman who accused former Bills punter Matt Araiza and two other San Diego State University players of this gang assault on her when she was a minor. She says she was left bleeding after the assault took place at an off-campus party in October. Okay, so again, this is the gist of the situation that we have here. Now she did say that she informed at this party. She said she informed Matt that she was 17 years old prior to any activities happening. She says that she reported this incident the day after that it actually happened. And she says she also wrote about this incident in her journal the day after it happened. And then she provided to CBS News pictures of injuries that she said she took pictures of the day after the incident. So she had bruises on her neck and legs, and we're not going to show those pictures. I'm sure if you want to see those pictures, you can find them. But she further states, she says, I was crying and my friend asked me what happened. She says she told her about the assault. So she says she also told her friend about the assault. So again, according to CBS, the woman wrote about this in her journal, and she basically wrote in her journal, all I keep replaying in my mind is being face down in a random bed waiting for it to be over. Now, in the lawsuit, which was filed last Thursday, the victim claims she was in and out of consciousness. So again, she says she had been drinking. She was, intoxicated, in and out of consciousness during the incident. And once this was reported, the kicker was released by the Bills 2 days later. And so she further stated, I was having to deal with the horrible, traumatic experience that she never asked for. And that's what the woman said. And so Araiza's attorney, the former Bills kicker, Kerry Armstrong, she has maintained his innocence. And she cited that he was not involved in any alleged assault and said that these allegations are fueled by money. His attorney also doubled down on these allegations being fueled by money by citing that the accuser, or the victim in this case, has reached out to the family prior to filing the lawsuit asking for money to not speak on this. But that's obviously something that is going to play out in court. Obviously, no criminal charges have been filed yet. maybe that's weighed in on this to some degree. I don't know. But that is something to take into consideration. The parents of the kicker are making a completely different allegation here in this case. Now, the attorney said, I would be extremely surprised if they ever charged Matt Araiza with anything in this case. And that's what she told CBS News. She says, if this girl was really assaulted in a back bedroom, that's horrible. It's a horrible thing to happen to anybody. But she says all she knows is that Matt Araiza has nothing to do with it. And the only thing she can think of as to why she included him in this civil suit is because of money. And as we know, that's what civil suits are for. Civil suits are for a monetary conclusion. There's really no other purpose of filing a civil suit other than getting some type of monetary gain at the end, a monetary award or for damages incurred. The civil suit has to be for money. Otherwise, you wouldn't have filed it. You would just allow the criminal justice system to handle it to a certain degree. I mean, random people don't wake up every day filing suits on broke people with no money. Obviously, again, let's not play dumb here. We know why the suit was filed. So when the woman was asked about Matt Araiza's attorney's comment about the situation, calling it a central shakedown that was motivated by his NFL status, the accuser said she felt sick to her stomach. Now, the accuser has been adamant. She says that she didn't even know who he was. She says when this happened, she didn't know who he was. But again, there is evidence out there that suggests she did know who he was. So again, if this actually happened to you, it would be wise to not lie about very minute details, because in a criminal case, those minute lies can weigh heavily on the minds of prosecutors and judges or even juries making a decision on this case. So again, already there are some lies that can be easily exposed. We'll get to all of that later here though. But Araiza's parents said in a statement on Monday that war has been waged on their son, as they've already come out publicly and stated that this girl, prior to filing the lawsuit, has reached out to the family for money prior to filing the lawsuits. Even though the woman or the accuser and her attorney have both denied those claims. They say we did not wish this experience on anyone, but question why our son is the only one receiving this kind of treatment by social media and the national news media. That is a fact. We don't even know the names of the other two. We don't even know the names of the other two suspects or people that she's accused. We only know the name of the guy that's the NFL football player, and that's because of the media. His family states the vitriol has been on him alone. He has been extorted, as the parents already have claimed. Basically said it discriminated against, harassed, multiple death threats. He's been released from his job. Obviously, he was released by the Bills. Horrific threats to every member of their family. And basically their family saying this was all just a salacious rumor that simply grew as facts. It says there are multiple witnesses. So the family says, and they say this was already, the police have already spoken to witnesses, but the family says that there are multiple witnesses and witness reports. And I'm sure we'll see those reports later. But they say there are multiple witnesses that deny the claims that had been made against Matt. So again, as bad as these accusations might be, the parents have come out and said that there are witness reports that the police actually have that support Matt Araiza and suggest that he may be innocent. So that's something we also want to go there, because again, witness reports are very strong and compelling evidence, more so than the evidence that the accuser has brought forth. She snapped pictures. She says she wrote in her journal, but again, that evidence, far less gravity. We don't know when you wrote in that journal. We don't know when you snapped that picture. There's no video evidence to support who placed those bruises on you. Could have done it yourself. We've seen cases like that in the past. We don't know. But we have to think about these things without emotion. And I think her releasing so much information about the case now, I think she's trying to galvanize the emotional side of people so that he's judged by the public prior to the facts being released. I think all of these things will help her in a civil case, will not help her in a criminal case. Now, Dan Gillion, the lawyer for the accuser, disputes the parents' claims, right, that there were any attempts by his client to get money. So they do dispute that, but the parents say they have documented evidence of her doing this. Now, Araiza was known as the punt god. He was selected by the Bills in the 6th round, 180th overall in the NFL draft, and that was in April. And the team said it learned about the allegations in July. So I think the NFL is essentially removed from the situation because these allegations happened before he was an NFL football player. It doesn't fall under the NFL's code of conduct policy. So this is not something that, even if he comes back to the NFL, it's not something that he could be suspended for. These actions didn't happen when he was an NFL player. The NFL CBA protects him. So even if he comes to play in the NFL, there's nothing that the NFL can do with regards to suspending him. They cannot say, they can't use some of these things about the integrity of the league and all of that code of conduct. None of that applies to him in this situation. So the only thing he's really facing right now is the civil case that he now must fight. So again, it says it's not a situation that I take lightly, and it's very serious. And this was said by the Bills coach Sean McDermott on Friday. He says it's just a matter of trying to find the truth. At the end of the day, that's the goal. And the goal is finding the truth and doing the right thing. And so on Monday, the San Diego State football coach Brady Hoke said he was unaware of any accusations against Araiza. So he was unaware, which is, again, very weird because generally the head football coach knows within hours or if not days of any of the players being accused of anything. So especially if it was in October, and we know in October the season was going full force. So again, a very odd situation for Brady Hoke not to even know about any accusations from this 17-year-old girl at this off-campus party where this civil suit was filed last week. And then the athletic director, John Wicker, at San Diego State, he said that, there's some people affiliated with this situation as far as the other two players, and they are no longer with the team. So the San Diego district attorney is handling the case. No criminal charges have been filed as of yet based on the evidence that they have in place. And so there are some other details that we want to get to here. We're going to get to those other details. We're going to watch the video first of the accuser. Let's check out what the accuser has to say. Like I said, we can only take things with a grain of salt. Remember, if you're watching this is FYF Sports. FYF means fuck your feelings. Again, I know a lot of you people out there watching this want us to be hypersensitive to any accusation that's placed against these players. Unfortunately, we don't do that here at FYF Sports. We have to weigh things fairly. We have to give everyone a shot, and we can only call the information that we receive for what it's worth. And that's the only thing we can do here at FYF Sports. But let's go ahead and get to the video.
Tonight, the teenager accusing an NFL rookie of rape is speaking out. The accused player was cut over the weekend by the Buffalo Bills. CBS's Lilia Luciano talked to her, and we do want to warn you that some of the details are disturbing.
Matt Araiza was a rising star, a San Diego State punter drafted by the Buffalo Bills into the NFL. But off the field, police were investigating him for sexual assault.
I was having to deal with this horrible, traumatic experience that I never asked for.
The accuser, who just turned 18, alleges that Araiza and two other players assaulted her for more than an hour at a party last October.
I was bleeding, I was crying, and my friend asked me what happened, and I told her I had just been raped.
She wrote in her journal the next day, "All I keep replaying in my mind is being face down in a random bed, just waiting for it to be over." Araiza's attorney says his client will be vindicated.
What do you think is happening here?
He had what we call the deep pockets of these three young men. And I still think it's a money grab on her part on behalf of Mr. Araiza.
What does that feel like to you?
That makes me really sick to the stomach. I reported it a day after it happened. I was 17 years old, and I had no idea who Matt Araiza was.
Araiza joined the NFL in April, a 6th-round draft pick. The Bills admit to learning about the allegations in July. He was dropped by the team after the lawsuit went public. Araiza's accuser wonders why his career even got that far.
I can't put into words how upsetting it was when I've been facing the consequences for his actions.
No criminal charges have been filed. Lilia Luciano, CBS News, Los Angeles.
All right, so there we have it right there. Obviously, the victim or the accuser in this particular case is coming out, speaking on the situation, as you should if you have a civil case in place. Speak about it. Try to win this in the eyes of the media, especially if you know you're dealing with a big name, high profile athlete. Again, this is just a great strategy. I mean, whenever a civil case is in place, the lesser side, the side with the least to lose, has the advantage. This is why we see a lot of cases get settled out of court, primarily because the bigger side has more to lose. They don't have the time to be spending all this time in courtrooms. The bigger side usually is facing a lot of scrutiny and slander from the media. Again, we just saw it in the Deshaun Watson situation, a case that he was not charged criminally. Actually, 2 grand juries refused to charge Deshaun Watson criminally. But these civil suits had to be settled to make them go away because, again, Deshaun Watson has bigger fish to fry as he's looking to get back in the NFL. A little monetary loss, a temporary monetary setback to end these cases actually benefits the bigger side. But in this particular case, Matt Araiza, he's 100% adamant that he never forcibly did anything with this young lady or forcibly had sex with her in any type of way, oral or vaginal, with regards to sexual relations. And he says he did not provide her with any drugs or alcohol. So Armstrong, his attorney, claims that police investigators who spoke with witnesses said that the teenager or the accuser was not drunk and that she had told multiple people at the party she was a college student. Let's repeat this again. And this was reported by the New York Times. Armstrong said that multiple witnesses, you guys, multiple witnesses, not just one, have said that the teenager was not drunk and that she was at the party and had told multiple people at the party she was a college student. And so, obviously, we're going to pause right there. We're going to put our common sense caps on. Let's put our common sense caps on, right? And we're all going to take ourselves back to the time when we were in college or when we were high schoolers going to parties. We know that happens all the time. See, if we're being realistic, the one thing we know is that high schoolers don't go to college parties, and then they don't go to college parties to tell people that they're high school students. You don't do that. You just don't do that. You don't go around college students as a high schooler. You just don't. You lie. This is why people have fake IDs and things of that nature. You say other things. You finesse the facts. Things that we know what's going on. That's the common sense of this. I want common sense wise. Do you guys honestly believe that at a college party, on a college campus, that a high schooler walks in, is talking to a football player? We all know that she knew this football player, if she was even talking to him. And the first thing that she says out of her mouth is, "I'm 17 and I'm a high schooler." Come on, man. I don't know, man. You guys take that however you want, right? But basically, Armstrong has already said that she would be surprised if the police or if the prosecutor's office pursue criminal charges. She's already stated that. And she said that Araiza is the only only being named in the case because he joined an NFL team. He's the only one being named because he joined an NFL team. And she says, she's continuously saying she thinks that this is a money grab on the part of the accuser. And she sees dollar signs at the end of the highway. And again, that really makes a lot of sense because the civil case came before the criminal. The civil case came before the criminal. Again, if this is something you truly want the justice system to handle, allow the justice system to handle it. Allow the facts of the case to show. What I believe that she has been informed by investigators that no charges will be filed. And knowing that he's not going to be charged criminally, they just went ahead and pursued the civil case to see what they could extract from him monetarily. And coming off the Deshaun Watson situation, perfect timing, it only makes sense to do these things. So again, it's hard. I want you guys just to weigh the facts. I'm just giving you the facts that you won't hear on ESPN. When you guys heard Molly Karam once again and Stephen A. Smith talking about it, they didn't tell you about the part where the police has actually talked to witnesses. They didn't tell you about the part where witnesses said she wasn't drunk and witnesses said she was running around this party saying she was a college student. I'm just saying, I don't know why they just conveniently leave those details out every time one of these situations comes up. All right. So again. So Dan Gillian, also again, he's the attorney that represents the teenager. He has continuously denied that this is some type of money grab. He posted on social media a screenshot on August 1st. So he said he's posted a screenshot on August 1st, text in which Armstrong appears to be asking Gillian what amount of money to get his client to settle, which makes sense. If you don't want this case you just saw what happened to Deshaun Watson as an NFL player. Your career's just getting started. How much money does she need to shut the hell up and just let this go away? Obviously, it's already been reported to the police. I don't think he has any fears of the police or the prosecutor's office pursuing criminal charges. The only fear that he had, I believe, was that she's going to try to muddy the waters and try to release as much information on social media and to any media outlet that will listen, her side of the story, because we know the woman in this case is going to win that particular war. She's going to win that fight because we know we're in a cancel culture. We know we're in a culture where all women have to do is make the accusation, and that's generally enough to find any man guilty in the public eye. And ESPN has done this with a lot of men. Like, I love to use the example of Sean Oakman. ESPN essentially single-handedly killed this man's football career. And when he was found not guilty, as opposed to doing an entire show on him, they just ran his name across the ticker and said he was found not guilty with no explanation of what happened in the case or anything. So that's what we're dealing with right here. So I think the biggest question here is, will there be criminal charges? So right now, they're saying that criminal charges are being considered. And in her lawsuit, the girl said she reported the incident to the San Diego State Police Department the next day and underwent a rape examination at the hospital. So according to the suit, detectives from the Sex Crimes Unit set up a tape-recorded phone call between the victim and Araiza, during which he confirmed having sex with her and told her she should get tested for STDs. So, and that's before changing his tone when asked more pointed questions. So I think there's two elements in that particular section that we need to look at. I want you guys to know that the girl said she was intoxicated, in and out of consciousness. And I think the most damning thing that she said is that she didn't even know who he was. Yet she was able to, the very next day, go to the police department, tell them exactly who she was accusing of this. And she also had his number in her phone. So they set up a tape recording, a tape recording, just to see what they can extract from him in a recorded phone call. And in that recorded phone call, they say he did admit to having sex with her at that party. And again, common sense wise, look, y'all, I'm putting my common sense hat back on. Am I dumb enough to really believe that Matt Araiza did not have sex with this girl? No. I 100% believe that she was running around this party, telling everybody she was probably a freshman or sophomore. They hooked up at a party, and that's what happened. I believe that 1,000% happened. But I do not believe that she's running around this party the entire time, telling people she's a high school student, that she's 17. And then this happened to her. And then they had some type of, sexual interaction after that. I just don't believe that. It just doesn't make sense. She said she told him she was 17. He hands her a drink, and then he proceeds to assault her. It just don't make sense. It don't make sense. Especially if you've been an athlete, a D1 athlete, and if you've been to one of these parties, that don't really make too much sense. She was probably, but witnesses have already confirmed she wasn't drunk and that she was running around the party saying that she was a college student. But it says public affairs officer, and a public affairs officer for the San Diego County District Attorney's Office confirmed that police have submitted their investigation for review. It says there's no timeline for how long it will take. And the public affairs officer said Friday, they said this in an email. So we obviously know how the Bills responded. The Bills have immediately released them. A lot of people are trying to go back and forth. They're trying to paint this picture that the Bills are this bad organization because they drafted them and they kind of knew about this situation. And hold on. The Bills drafted a player that has never been charged with any crime. How about we just leave it at that? If NFL teams ran around not drafting players based on unfounded accusations that are not attached to any type of criminal or even at the time civil case, what are we talking about here? Is that how the NFL is supposed to run around determining who gets drafted and who doesn't? When the draft happened a while ago, this lawsuit just was filed. So the Bills are supposed to say, oh, okay, we're supposed to believe accusations, serious accusations at that are attached to no criminal cases. And there's no civil cases as well. Why not draft them? Come on. This is why I don't like the narrative where people are saying the Bills shouldn't have drafted them. They did. It doesn't make sense. The Bills drafted a player. Okay? I'm sure if you dig deep enough with any of one of these athletes, I'm sure you can find some stupid accusation that's unfounded and not supported by a criminal or civil case. I'm sure if you dug deep enough, you can find it with it. This football player might have been accused by a grocery store stealing. This guy might have been accused of stealing somebody's weed. Come on. It just doesn't work like that. I just think it's stupid to put the onus on the Bills to play the moral police. It's funny how people are asking the NFL and the Bills to be the moral police, but they won't go knocking on the door of the police department or the district attorney's office and ask them where they are with this investigation and force them to be the moral police. Now, all of a sudden, the NFL and football teams are supposed to be the moral standard and moral compass for all of these decisions. That's exactly what happened in the Deshaun Watson situation. Nobody asked questions when the two grand juries said we're not pressing charges. Nobody ran around banging on their door saying, hold on, we think he's guilty. Let's redo this. Nobody did that. Everyone just let it be. They allowed the justice system to do its part. But when it comes down to these civil cases, everybody's running around with their own narratives, X, Y, and Z. Oh, he's still... And this is what I didn't like about Stephen A. Smith's take on this. Because he's running around talking about, oh, there's some serious criminal charges. This is serious. He could face jail time. Yeah, so Deshaun Watson could have too. But the grand jury exonerating him didn't stop you guys from lambasting him on ESPN any chance you could get. So Stephen A. Smith is trying to act like criminal charges are the standard when we know that's not the standard for ESPN? It doesn't matter if he's charged criminally or not. You guys are going to kill any man. ESPN, all these mainstream media outlets are going to kill any man accused of these things because it makes for a good story to believe the victim in these cases and not side with the facts. Remember, there are already facts leaked out about this case. Nobody's talking about how the parents said this woman's tried to extort them before the civil case was filed. Nobody talked about how witnesses have already detailed in reports she's lying. I don't know. I just don't. When I see people intentionally hiding facts, it tells me I need to dive deeper into this particular story. So, again, the NFL hasn't really responded in this case. Obviously, everyone is looking to the NFL to be this moral code of justice for all men, and you can't play in the NFL if you've been accused of this. I don't expect the NFL. Hey, look, in this situation, I don't expect the NFL to respond, and I wouldn't respond. I would, if I'm the NFL, I'm saying this didn't happen on our time. He wasn't under NFL contract. Why the hell are y'all asking us about some stuff that you need to be asking San Diego State about? If this incident was so serious, why didn't the head coach at San Diego State even know? Unless you want to call him a liar, unless you as the media want to go that far and call the head coach for that team a liar, I'm sure the police could easily verify if the head coach knew or not. And I promise you, with my time from being at multiple colleges, I promise you that the police, especially the school police, the campus police, are extremely well connected with the athletics department. And if anything happens with an athlete, the coaches know first. This is why some of the stuff that she's saying is not adding up or making sense whatsoever. I don't know. You have to take it all with a grain of salt. I will 100% be following this case to the end. Irregardless of what the results are. I will be following this case to the end. And I just want to see how it plays out, because the one thing I'm going to be watching for is, look, if he's guilty, if evidence comes out to support her claims, we will address that. Unfortunately, the information that's coming out now, as it slowly gets leaked out, similar to the Deshaun Watson situation, it's making me look at the accuser in a different light, especially when you're not approaching the situation in some type of biased lens where the woman is always right or the accuser is always right. So again, Matt Araiza, released kicker, right? Star punter, won multiple awards in college, has been released from the Bills. We're going to see how this plays out. I'm curious to see what the NFL does. And if this is a situation where he's exonerated in the civil case, I'm curious to see how this proceeds because just like with Sean Oakman, the unfortunate reality of the history of these types of cases is that once you've been accused and removed from a league, you're never going to get another shot. Even if he's found to be innocent of this, if this is found to be one big hoax or lie, he's going to have to prepare to be some high school coach, assistant somewhere on a D3 school, something like that. He might have to turn into a YouTuber. But I 1,000% believe that these accusations alone are going to prevent him from playing a snap in the NFL, even if he's found innocent. And that's why I think the media needs to have a little bit more responsibility in reporting these things. If you're going to report it, do like the New York Times and report all of the details. Otherwise, don't report it at all, because for the person, there are life-changing. This is a life-changing event. And if the media outlets are not going to be willing to help get him back into the league if he's found innocent, then don't report on it until you have all the facts. When you're just spewing half the story, and the only thing that you're doing now is pushing them farther away from the NFL. ESPN reporting on it, Molly Kerr speaking on it, they know exactly what they're doing. They're killing any hopes of him ever coming back to the NFL. And if he does beat this case, ESPN will not come out and support him being signed by any team. They won't talk about him. They won't care. And they're going to kick him to the wayside just like they did Baylor football star Sean Oakman. Just like they attempted to do Deshaun Watson. And there's a myriad of other stories out there, just like the 2 football players from Iowa. Doesn't matter if you're found not guilty. Again, once this happens to you, if you don't have deep pockets like Deshaun Watson already had, if you don't have a contract already in place or at least had enough time in the NFL where you can prove yourself to be a star player, it's a wrap. They've essentially killed this man's career in the NFL over accusations, over a civil suit, and over criminal charges that have not even been filed. That's what they've done. You guys, let me know your thoughts on this particular situation. How does it relate to the Deshaun Watson case or in some of these other cases? Right? Do you think Matt Araiza is going to be treated differently because he's white? Do you think it's a racial thing? I mean, that's going to that's going to pop up in some conversations. It's not going to be a sentiment that I broach over here, but again, it's something that some people are going to consider. So we got to talk about it from all angles. So again, you know what? I appreciate everybody pulling up for this episode. I thought this was something that needed to be spoken on because once again, we have a situation where ESPN and every media outlet speaking on this are not detailing all of the facts. They're not telling the full story, and they're telling things that are heavily shaded towards the accuser's favor. And the way they're telling the story, they're acting as if they're going to get a cut from the civil case if they even extract any money from this kicker. Again, I just don't like that there are lies already that can easily be exposed. Like I said, if you're looking to really find justice, the last thing you need to be doing is lying to investigators. Especially when there are witnesses out there that can refute some of your lies. FYF Sports, man, another great podcast episode. Make sure you guys smash the like, hit the subscribe, and subscribe to our second channel, FYF Sports Live, where when we go live, this will be one of the main topics on the slate to talk about. Because this is the second case in a similar nature where we see the accuser using a civil suit to win the battle in the social media and the media realm, as opposed to us relying on the justice system to dictate innocence or guilt. You guys let us know in the comments. We will be talking about this on our live stream. Again, NFL is around the corner. A lot of NFL topics to talk about, but this definitely had to be addressed, man. Make sure you guys follow us for more information on this story. But it's FYF Sports, man. Another great podcast episode. We will be back with more sports and news, but until then, it's FYF Sports, and we out.